Kendall in Oregon, who wants to know why we're atheists and what evidence would convince us of Christianity. So
actually, the question was framed was different. Actually, it was more like, what if you are always an atheist? Then what evidence would convince you, or are you looking for that would make you a Christian? If you were Christian and became an atheist, then what evidence that against Christianity that made you an atheist?
I'm going to let Jim do most of this, but I want to start by saying you seem to think that there's only two options, Christianity and atheism, which means you left out Islam and Hinduism and Judaism and Scientology and everything. But I was a Christian. I'm now an atheist because there's not sufficient evidence to believe in a God, period.
Right. So the problem that I have with your question is that it requires a bit of dishonesty on that I don't have.
Hello?
Sorry, I think there was a bit of an internet hiccup there with Jim. Are you still there?
Breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up. Okay, good.
Well, Jim,
Jim,
I think you had an internet drop, but you're back now.
Okay, good. So basically, you're the prosecuting attorney attempting to prove that God exists. I'm either the defense attorney and or the jury, depending on what role I choose to do. And I usually like to do defense attorney. So my job is to simply prove how you have, or simply to show how you haven't proven your case. So I'm not going to prejudge evidence. I want you to show me the evidence, then I can show you how that doesn't prove your case. So there is technically no evidence that would actually convince me. There is evidence that will convince me. I just don't know what it is. So that's the problem that you have. I was also a Christian, specifically a Catholic, and I became a atheist because I realized that I had no good evidence for my position to believe that theism was true.
Okay.
Jim and I are kind of the same.
What compels you to think that? I mean, right there, it's like you have an expectation of what the evidence is.
No.
No. I took the evidence that I had and said it wasn't enough.
Yeah. When people ask me what would change my mind, my answer's been
okay.
When people ask me what would change my mind, my answer's been the same for years, and that is, I don't know what would change my mind. But if there's a God, that God absolutely knows what would change my mind, and that God is capable of presenting that evidence, and that hasn't happened, which means either that God doesn't exist or that God doesn't want me to know he exists.
Or you just don't want to have a relationship, or you want salvation. You don't want salvation.
No. Doesn't matter what I want.
No.
God can prove himself to me whether I want him to or not, right?
Yes.
And if God can prove himself to me, no matter what I want, and God wants me to know he exists, why hasn't he done it?
He wants you to have salvation. If you don't want it, he's not going to do that.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Kendall.
I'm asking.
Hang on, Kendall. Could God reveal himself to me in such a way that I know he exists, and then I could just say, I don't want your salvation, right?
Yes, but he wouldn't need to do that. He knows everything. He knows what.
No. You don't get to get out of this by suggesting that because God knows I wouldn't accept it, he's not going to bother. That's a load of shit. God could reveal himself to every person on the planet, absolutely, and people could still say, I don't want anything to do with you, right?
Right.
So why hasn't that happened? Why is God playing the longest game of hide and seek? Why is it that you're calling in with zero evidence? Why is it that the thousands of people who called this show over the 15 years I've been hosting it have presented zero evidence? No God has ever given me so much as a hangnail. No God has ever interacted with me in any detectable way. And yet you guys are all convinced that somehow I'm just closed-minded?
It's not so much closed-minded, it's just closed-hearted.
Well, my heart pumps
blood,
so
have to do with evidence?
I don't care about, my heart doesn't evaluate evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your evidence?
Yep. What reason is there to believe in God?
I have to clarify, though, what I mean by Christian. I'm just talking about the salvation part, not the relationship part and worship.
Well, yeah. So if you're going to prove salvation, what do I need to be saved from? God? Because I kind of agree with you there. But what do I need salvation from? What do I need to be saved from?
Well, the easy answer is from yourself, because the sins you've committed.
Whoa. How, if there is no God, and I don't accept there is one, how do I commit sin?
Oh,
I can do things that are unethical, but that's not necessarily sinful, just to be clear.
Right. Right. I didn't know you were going there. Yeah. So you're saying how do you confirm that and everything?
No, what we would like you to say. So you say that we need to be saved from ourselves because of our sin, but all of that is just your view of Christian doctrine. I have no reason to think that there is any such thing as sin. I have no reason to think that I am in danger of anything. I don't think that there's anything for me to be saved from or to. Like, is it sinful for a man to have sex with another man?
Yes, because sin is a biblical
but
concept.
It's not unethical.
So if I have sex with another man, that is sin that your God is here to protect me from?
Yeah, because when he makes moral proclamations, they're not arbitrary. It's based upon his nature. So
no.
Does that?
No.
Hang on. Now you've got God making proclamations. Name one proclamation that God has ever made, and how do we know that it came from God?
And how do we know it came from God?
I just want to know, give me one example of a proclamation made by God, what that proclamation is, and how do we know that it came from God?
And how do we know? You're asking me how to confirm that. That's a whole different discussion, I feel like. But
it's the only discussion that fucking matters. It's the most important part.
Jesus Christ.
What about Jesus Christ?
If you can't prove that your God said something,
you can't even
how
show
do you know
Jesus
your God exists?
Right. But this is going away from the whole point of what I was asking.
I don't care.
No, it really isn't, because we were asking for evidence, right? And so if you're going to make the claim that your God makes proclamations, we're asking, what are the proclamations and how do you know he made them? We want the evidence for that. We haven't stopped asking for evidence.
Claim.
Sorry, what?
Claim. This is not about, being a theist, it's about beliefs. It's
No.
Convincing people this.
Oh my gosh.
Belief.
Kendall.
No. So you're talking about faith, not belief.
So Kendall, this is really easy. You're convinced that your God has proclaimed that it is wrong for one man to have sex with another man, correct?
Yes.
How do we know that God proclaimed that?
I just gave you the answer. I said Jesus Christ and his.
No. Jesus Christ is not an explanation for how we know that God said men shouldn't sleep with men. Because first of all, you have no evidence that Jesus said anything.
Oh, sorry. Science. We know that from science.
So science tells us that God proclaimed that it's immoral for a man to sleep with another man.
Yeah, because what I said, remember I said, it's not.
Okay, this is beyond stupid at this point.
Yeah, because first of all,
never mind.
Science does not confirm that God said it was wrong for one man to have sex with another man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just.
How do we know God said it? Science. Well, at least you're partially on the right track. Please go learn what science actually does say and what it doesn't say, and you'll be on much better footing. Because at no point in the history of science has science ever said, you know what? God said it's wrong to suck a dick.